time! Dragon Sword!
Mastodon!
Pterodactyl!
Triceratops!
Eagle!
Alright! Aw, man, it's awesome!
Rangers, I give you Dragon Zord in fighting mode.
Check it out! Man, it's more phenomenal!
The safety of the universe is once again in your hands, Power Rangers.
Hello everyone, I'm Brett, and welcome to Nightwood Guns. I did a video a little while back about the Desert Eagle and its impact on popular culture, and the algorithm really didn't pick it up, so instead I'm going to be doing a proper review on the Magnum Research Desert Eagle. So if you've been considering purchasing a Desert Eagle, or you just want to live vicariously through someone who did, I don't know why I'm doing this, well then my friends, you've come to the right place. Luden popped out with his suppressed handgun, and with a dull puff, sent a 9mm hollow point through the guard's face. His nose popped like a water balloon, and wet skull fragments ejected from the back of his head. Oh hi, I didn't see you there. I was just reading an excerpt from my short novel, Armed Instinct, available in the link in the description below, along with its sequel, Countdown to Dawn. Be sure to grab a copy of each book and leave reviews to help support the channel. Now let's take a look at the Godzilla of handguns, the king of the pistols, the Magnum Research Desert Eagle, chambered in 50 Action Express. Why do I carry a 50 Action Express? Because they don't make a 51 Action Express. So let's go over the pros of the handgun first. Obviously, first of all, it is an absolute brute. It looks super cool, and it's in all of your favorite video games and movies. It comes in 50 Action Express, 44 Magnum, 357 Magnum, and the weird newcomer on the block, 429. While all of those are really cool in their own way, let's be honest, the 50 is the one that everyone wants. I had a 44 Magnum Desert Eagle at one point, and guess what? I ended up enjoying it, selling it, and buying the 50 because 50 is the king. So other than its obvious aesthetics and its awesome chamberings and Magnum calibers, is there anything else actually good about the Desert Eagle? I think there is. First of all, the fit and finish on these guns is absolutely incredible, especially ever since they turned manufacturing over to the US. Everyone who was around years ago remembers when Desert Eagles were going for like 800 bucks, and now it's like $2,000 for what? Well, there are some huge chunks of steel in this gun, and that is extremely expensive to mill and manufacture. I'm happy to say, in Pillager, Minnesota, where these things are manufactured, a lot of love goes into these guns, and the price is reflective of its fit and finish. The model that I got has the fire spit and factory ports that really cut down on muzzle rise. Having owned Desert Eagles without ports in the past, the ports absolutely make a difference. And as you can see with the fit and finish, they did an expert job of polishing the flats on this gun, giving the firearm an aesthetic dichotomy of polished and brushed. Flashy with a hint of practical. Gotta say, I'm a fan. This model that I have has a Picatinny rail on the bottom and on the top, so if you want, you can put your favorite weapon light on here when you're shooting hogs in the dark, and you can mount whatever red dot or pistol scope you want on here to give you a little more precision than these blacked out target sights. Since this is a single action gun, the trigger's actually pretty good. Got just a tiny bit of take up there, hit the wall, press through the wall, not a lot of travel, and of course, the reset. While the reset is not super great like 1911 level, the trigger press itself breaks super clean, so it allows you to make some pretty tight precision shots. Which gets into an actual practical use for this gun, a hunting handgun. I think this handgun could fulfill a hunting role very well. With its chambering and excellent Magnum cartridges, its single action trigger, and its ability to mount any kind of optic on there that you want, this thing could take some hogs or pretty much anything else you could possibly want to take with it. But let's be honest, if you're watching this, you probably don't want a Desert Eagle for hunting. You want it for novelty. If you fancy yourself any kind of collector, a Desert Eagle has to find its way into your gun safe. Now, rounding out the positives about this gun, it is absolutely 100% a blast to shoot. I'm not sure I've ever had this much fun shooting a handgun. The sheer power that you wield in your hand with this Desert Eagle will live up to all of your expectations. If you've got $2,000 burning a hole in your pocket to go towards a useless novelty item that could be used for hunting someday, just saying, you will not be disappointed by the Magnum Research Desert Eagle. And of course, as you know, nothing is perfect, especially the Desert Eagle. While this gun is super awesome and I absolutely love it and it's super well built, man, this thing's got some issues. So let's talk about reliability first, since that's the thing that everyone is always curious about. As they should be, reliability is probably the single most important thing when it comes to firearms. This particular Desert Eagle has proven to be extremely reliable. I've put about 60 rounds through it and I had one failure to return to battery, and I was able to isolate it to a single bad magazine. Luckily, I brought a second magazine with me to the range, so I was able to iron that out pretty quickly, and Magnum Research was super cool and sent me a new magazine, swapped them out, no questions asked, and both magazines have been 100% ever since. Now, concerning reliability, there is actually a correct way to shoot the Desert Eagle. You might be able to get by shooting it the incorrect way, but shooting it the correct way will ensure reliable cycling. And essentially what they recommend is a Weaver stance where you lock your shooting elbow and you push and pull on the gun. So you're pushing with your right hand, pulling with your left hand, and that is going to ensure reliable function. Now, I found that I've been able to get by with my usual shooting stance as long as I have a good, solid grip and foundation behind the gun. And I found that you can let the muzzle flip quite a bit and it won't malfunction. It's if you get this rearward motion coming back. So it's not necessarily a limp wrist, it's more of a weak foundation where if you allow this thing to come back under recoil, it won't reliably cycle. But as long as you provide the solid foundation that this gun needs, it is incredibly reliable. At least this one has been in my experience. Something else that a lot of people complain about is the size of the grip, how it's too big to get a good grip on there, whatever. To me, that just comes with the territory. Of a huge handgun, it's gonna have a huge grip. So I don't really hold that against the Desert Eagle too much. What I do hold against the Desert Eagle is my least favorite thing, which is the safety. And this is the only thing that's holding me back from recommending this thing for any kind of woods defense, like defense against bears. Because when you're playing around with this thing in your chair, you're flipping the safety on and off with your thumb, and you're like, man, piece of cake. But the second you get this thing in a holster and you pull it out, you're fishing for that safety. It's really hard to flip it off. Now, the Desert Eagles back when they were made in Israel used to have a bigger claw of a safety. And I can tell you, I used to have one of those. It didn't make much of a difference. Now, I know what you're thinking. Just use your offhand for the safety. Piece of cake. Well, I thought of that too. But coming out of the holster and sweeping this off with your support thumb, this can happen, which you don't take the safety all the way off and it won't fire. Or you miss it completely, or you do manage to get it and then your hand is in a weird shooting position, you don't have a good grip on the gun. So the way that I found that's most reliable to take the safety off of this gun, whether it's in a chest rig or in a thigh holster, is to unholster it and use your forefinger and your thumb of your support hand to bring it up like that. Because it seems like when you're coming out of the holster and you're using both sides of the safety to flick it on and off, it is the most reliable way to manipulate the safety. Now, I've also seen some people decock it and put it in their holster and come out, cock the hammer, and then fire it. Man, that just kind of makes me uneasy because you could get your finger on the trigger too soon and accidentally fan fire the thing and set it off, and then your thumb hurts a lot because a 50 Action Express just sent the slide careening back into your thumb. Not a good time. The practicality of this gun might actually double if the safety was easier to manipulate. People have also talked about getting thunked in the head with brass with these things. This one doesn't have that issue. So I don't know if that could be a limp wristing thing where someone limp wrists it and then the ejection is angled right at their face so it's thunking them in the head. But either way, whether it's a problem with some people's Desert Eagles and just not mine, or whether it's a limp wristing issue, I did not have brass to the head disorder with this gun. If you want to get really nitpicky on the gun and just start talking about everything that's wrong with it, you have to loosen your grip on the gun to hit the magazine release that is very small and hard to reach, so you're not going to be reloading this thing in a hurry, but I don't think you'd really plan on doing that anyways. If you can't get them with 8 rounds of 50, then you shouldn't carry more rounds, I don't know, whatever FUD say. And also concerning reliability and gripping the gun properly, the number one mistake that I see new shooters make when they shoot the Desert Eagle has to do with this giant surfboard slide catch. So if you grip it with a high grip like this, one, it might cut you up on your hand a little bit if you're a sissy, but most importantly, the slide probably won't lock to the rear, which not a big deal, that happens on a lot of semi-auto handguns. But the problem with the Desert Eagle is if you get just underneath the safety where it kind of feels natural to hold it, you can actually bump this on safety. Fuck me. Is if you hold the gun where it feels really natural to hold, you're actually holding kind of on the slide release, and when you fire it, all of that recoil is going to force your hand to push up the slide catch, and you will lock it open to the rear with rounds left in the magazine. And this gun's recoil is substantial enough to lock the action open if your hand is anywhere near, I don't know where this accent came from. And this gun's recoil is substantial enough to lock the action open if your hand is anywhere near this slide catch. So just to completely take it out of the equation, I started gripping this thing with a thumbs crossed, old school crush grip, just to keep my hand away from the slide catch, because I didn't want to keep locking it open with my typical grip. And then there's my final gripe. A $2,000 gun from the factory comes with blacked out crappy sights. It'd be really cool if this thing came with a fiber optic front and a serrated rear, or night sights, or anything else. It kind of is what it is. If you're buying a Desert Eagle, you pretty much know what you're getting into. You're in complete flex novelty collector status, and you are willing to set aside all of these gripes with the Desert Eagle just to have a piece of firearm and pop culture history. So would I recommend the Magnum Research Desert Eagle? For any practical-minded person, absolutely not, obviously. Except for you handgun hunters and the people who might someday go handgun hunting. But for anyone who has $2,000 burning a hole in their pocket, wants a super fun Magnum handgun to shoot, and you want this thing in your collection because it's near and dear to your heart from video games that you grew up with or your favorite movies, then absolutely, this thing is super fun to shoot. It's super awesome to have in your collection. It's fun to just get out and safely dry fire it, click it around. I always get this thing out and set it down on the table next to me whenever I'm revisiting one of my favorite Resident Evil games. And once a year on my birthday, I take this thing out to the range and put a couple of magazines through it just because it is so fun to shoot. It's like a treat yourself gun.
I really want
Desert Eagle.
and I like this,
50 Action Express.
but it's expensive, and there's no use for it.
Don Amigo, treat yourself.
So let me know in the comments below what you think of the Desert Eagle. Would you ever actually buy one? Do you own one? If you do, what do you think of it? If you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check the link in the description below for my short novels that'll knock your socks off. As always, it was great to see you guys again. I'm Brett, and this was Nightwood Guns. Nightwood out.